She told me she wanted romantic freedom, while I kept paying the bills. So I quietly moved out, left a note on the counter, and watched her entire independent era collapse faster than she ever imagined. I swear I didn't plan for my life to turn into something you'd read on Reddit at 2 a.m. with your jaw hanging open. But here we are, and honestly, I'm still trying to process how a perfectly normal Tuesday night ended with me reevaluating every choice I'd made for nearly 2 years. I just finished a brutal 14-hour day at my custom woodworking shop. Sweat, sawdust, and glue still stuck to my forearms. My shirt stiff from dried lacquer because a client wanted a dining table rush for some engagement dinner. All I wanted was to see my girlfriend. Well, the woman I thought was my girlfriend, Mara. She'd said she was at Riverstone Brewing for trivia with some coworkers, and I thought, cool, I'll swing by, grab a beer, maybe talk her into grabbing tacos afterward. Something easy, something normal. Instead, I walked in and saw her leaning against the copper bar, laughing in a way she hadn't laughed with me in months, pushing her phone across the counter to some guy in a tailored charcoal suit who looked like he stepped out of Financial magazine. And then there was that smile, the one she used to give me when we first started dating. She handed him her number like she was handing over a golden ticket. The guy grinned, saved it, and pocketed his phone like it was the most natural thing in the world. She didn't see me at first. And maybe that was a blessing, because I got a full 3 seconds of witnessing the truth before she spun around, went pale, then cycled through guilt, irritation, and something like, "How dare you see this?" She introduced me to Mr. Business Suit. His name was apparently Tyler, and called me her roommate. Roommate. After nearly 2 years of splitting bills, sharing a bed, hosting friends, planning trips. Tyler looked like he wanted to vanish into floor, muttered something about checking on his buddies, and bolted. And that's when the unraveling began. Mara pulled me aside like I was overreacting and explained, slowly, like she was teaching a child fractions, that she'd been meaning to talk to me about redefining our relationship. Translation: she wanted to date other men, but keep everything else exactly the same. Our townhouse, our shared expenses, our routines, the safety net of knowing I'd always be there keeping things afloat while she explored her options. She told me she felt too domesticated, said commitment felt restrictive, and she needed romantic freedom, but also didn't want the stress of full independence because why throw away a good home dynamic? The kicker? She truly believed this was enlightened, modern, reasonable. I didn't argue. Something inside me just clicked off. I nodded, let her talk, let her explain this new model she apparently crafted during pottery class and book club nights. She even said I should be proud she felt comfortable enough to grow in new directions. I drove home that night, knowing exactly what I needed to do. The next morning, while she slept in after staying up late, journaling about emotional expansion, I started moving my tools out to my truck. She barely looked up from her phone when she noticed. Reorganizing the shop, I said, "Oh, cool," she mumbled. And that became the pattern. For the next 3 weeks, I moved my life out piece by piece while she bounced between yoga, pottery, art walks, wine bar book clubs, gourmet cooking classes. Anything that let her feel like she was starring in some indie film version of self-discovery. She told her friends she felt reborn. She told mutual friends she'd finally admitted to herself she'd been stifled. And the wild part? She genuinely believed I'd stick around for this. She assumed I'd keep paying 60% of the bills, keep fixing things around the townhouse, keep handling groceries, keep being her emotional support animal while she flirted with men who owned cufflinks. Meanwhile, I moved everything out. My furniture, my art, my kitchen equipment, my woodworking sketches, my childhood keepsakes, even my grandmother's quilt she always claimed made the bedroom feel homey. By the time her big 3-day book club retreat to Hilton Head came around, I had one job left: clear out the rest. And when she left, posting selfies about soul exploration and aligned energies, I packed up the last of my belongings with the efficiency of someone dismantling a life support machine. Before I walked out, I left the house key on the kitchen counter with a note. Just one line. Perfect. Now you can date freely without a boyfriend acting like a husband. Rent's due on the 15th. Sam, that was it. No lecture. No emotional essay. No dramatic goodbye. When she came home Sunday night to an empty townhouse, She legitimately thought a burglar had stripped the place. She called the police. Full report and everything. Then she found my note, and the 23 voicemails started. Confusion, rage, blame, accusations, tears, bargaining. Can we just talk? Why would you abandon me? You're being dramatic. You're ruining everything. Please call me. Please. I didn't. Not out of cruelty, but because I had nothing left to give. And her freedom? It crashed into reality like a freight train. Suddenly, she was responsible for her own half of rent, her own utilities, her own groceries, her own cleaning supplies, her own repairs, her own everything. She made about $1,800 a month freelancing graphic design. Our rent alone was $2,300. Within a week, she was calling me asking how to reset the Wi-Fi router, then asking which plumber we used, then asking if I could come fix a clog sink, then asking for grocery money. Just this once. I told her kindly, but firmly, that casual dating partners don't fix each other's plumbing or subsidize rent. She did not like that. And then came the midnight call. She locked herself out after a date and begged me to come let her in. I reminded her she had wanted freedom. Freedom comes with locksmiths. That $240 bill hit her harder than the locksmith drill. Suddenly, yoga memberships felt expensive. Cooking classes weren't financially enlightening anymore. Art walks became too pricey. And the men she thought would fund her whimsical lifestyle? Turns out they expected her to contribute or at least not treat them like walking wallets. Shocking, I know. Meanwhile, someone else had quietly stepped into my life. Emma, one of our mutual friends. Actually, though calling her just a friend feels like an understatement now. Emma had always been observant, reserved, someone who saw things others ignored. She never said anything negative about Mara, but she definitely wasn't surprised when everything blew up. Without fanfare, without pressure, without any kind of rebound energy, we just clicked. Turns out someone appreciating your effort, actually appreciating it, feels like exhaling after holding your breath for years. We spent evenings cooking simple meals, talking about life, walking the nature trails, sometimes sitting in companionable silence while I sketched furniture ideas and she read. Peace. Actual peace. Within months, we found a house with a detached garage perfect for a proper workshop. I expanded the business. I hired an assistant. Emma helped me pick stain colors and design a showroom layout we planned to open downtown. Life built itself brick by brick in a way that felt steady, mutual, real. Meanwhile, Mara spiraled. She couldn't afford rent. She took in a new roommate named Cody, a smooth-talking 26-year-old crypto entrepreneur who looked successful but apparently had a talent for turning every room he entered into a crime scene. He paid nothing. User address for business deliveries. And after about 2 months of him working from home, federal agents raided the townhouse at dawn. He had fled days earlier. She was left with $4,000 in unpaid bills, property damage fees, a furious landlord, and investigators asking far too many questions about her involvement in digital investment fraud. She wasn't charged, but the financial blow ruined her. She moved back with her parents in a small rural town, took a part-time job at a print shop, lost nearly everything she once bragged about having, and life rolled on. About 18 months later, Emma and I attended the wedding of our mutual friend Grant at an old mansion downtown. Beautiful place. Soft lights, outdoor bar under oak trees. And that's where we saw her. Mara, in a catering uniform, hair pulled back, face tired but focused. She carried trays of appetizers with the careful attention of someone who learned the cost of losing stability. She recognized us instantly, and there was no scene, no bitterness, no dramatic collapse. She just asked if she could speak to me for a moment. Emma squeezed my hand and stepped away. And what Mara said next was probably the most honest thing I'd ever heard from her. She admitted she confused dependence with love, control with confidence, excitement with compatibility. She said she wanted freedom without understanding what freedom required. She said she finally realized I hadn't been suffocating her. She'd been resisting adulthood. She apologized, not to get me back, just to acknowledge the truth. And then she looked at Emma across the room, then back at me and said, "I'm glad you found someone who actually sees what you give. I never did until it was gone." She meant it. She walked away, carrying another tray, and I watched her disappear into the reception crowd. Smaller somehow, but also finally grounded. I rejoined Emma, who smiled up at me like I was the safest person in the room, and in that moment, I understood something I hadn't been able to articulate before. Some people don't ruin your life. They reveal it. They show you what you've been carrying, what you've been tolerating, what you've been mistaking for love. And leaving them isn't destruction. It's a return to yourself. And sometimes, if you're lucky, someone better is waiting in the quiet you make when you finally walk out.